guys. Yeah, we got Kendal and Nolan here. If you haven't introduced yourself before, introduce yourself and go ahead with questions when you're ready.
Fellas, just for both of you, it just seems like every time you guys are up here together, it's because the two of you just seem to have some sort of chemistry out there on the court, particularly, with defense turning into offense, especially on the transition side of things. Can you explain what it is with the two of you in particular when it gets into that transition game?
I'm always looking for any of my teammates, Nolan particularly, but any of my teammates, I just try to get them the ball when they're open, just make the right play. But tonight it happened to be Nolan, and stat show for itself, so I'm always looking for my guys.
Yeah, I mean, today I was guarding Moni, and he's obviously a really good player, and he's a really high usage guy too, and I knew they were trying to get him the ball. So it's just kind of a mindset thing to try to deny him and see if I could get some steals, and got a couple, so yeah.
For someone who isn't here all the time, can you describe the atmosphere and how it compares to like the regular game, I guess?
I mean, today it was crazy. Like, we haven't really seen anything like that, but I mean, usually this place is packed no matter what, but today it was just, sold out on CBS. So, it was just another game for us, but it was a really good crowd.
Just to piggyback off him, man. It was a really good crowd. I feel like the crowd was into it, and credit to us and credit to the fans for supporting us. So we can get it like that every game. It would be huge. But today was a special day, and we're just grateful for the opportunity.
I guess for both of you, you started the season 4-4, but you had some really tough, obviously high major teams you played. I think you only lost twice in the last 15 games or so. What's the message in there?
Just continue to be us. One thing was our turnover numbers and our rebounding numbers. I feel like our rebounding numbers have gone up and our turnovers have gone down. So anytime you have low turnovers and high rebounds, more possessions, you get a better opportunity to win the game, and we've been doing that over the last handful of the game. So if we just continue to do that, continue to be us, I don't see us losing the game. So. And
just you've been here a while. How is this team different from any others? In a lot of ways, it's the same with some different pieces.
Yeah, like you just said, it's kind of the same, but we got a lot of freshmen, a lot of new guys, and we're a real unselfish team. It can be anybody's night, and we just want to win at the end of the day. So that's the real common theme with any team. We just want to win. So doing that every night, doing our job every night on defense and offense just takes care for itself, and end result is a W. So can't be more happy than that.
There's a good chance a lot of people at home watch you guys play for the first time since you're on that national stage. How would you describe the team to somebody who's never seen you play before? What does like a Johnny Tower coach team look like?
I would say the first thing is we're super unselfish. I think the numbers speak for themselves. I feel like it's a new guy every day who's leading us in scoring and stuff like that. And I think we're just a tough team too. Who, we've grown a lot too, gained a lot of chemistry, and I think just with JT, I think we're just a really connected group.
Kind of like you said, just unselfish and connected. It could be anybody's night to score, and at the end of the day, we just want to win. So we keep having that mindset. We're a tough team to beat, and so just keep going from there.
What's it like playing this offense?
I'm sorry, say it again?
What's it like playing this offense?
It's fun. We got a lot of freedom. We have plays, but we don't. I'm not gonna say we don't run them, but there's concepts to get us moving and get the ball flowing and stuff like that, and just each night have an opportunity to score the ball, and it's a fun offense. Some colleges just bog down, run plays all the time. We're just free-flowing and just taking what the defense gives us. So,
was the offense an attraction for you coming here?
Oh, for sure. Especially just the way we move the ball. I think it's really special. And, like Kendal said, there's not many other teams in the country who kind of move it like us, space it like us, and, have freedom like us. So,
Nolan, for you, being a true freshman, you're assigned Jackson Moni in this game, and a lot of other games, you're undersized in that position, but you just seem to step up for these type of games. There's always a little bit more to the, like SDSU's now NDSU games, and you always seem to save your best for these type of atmospheres and games. What is it when taking on those challenges and bringing your best?
I think really the mindset for me is I know my teammates have my back, so I just go out there, give it my hardest, and with a guy like Moni, as good a defensive player as anybody is, you can't really stop him even as hard as you try by yourself. So I think just having the mindset that my teammates have my back, that's what's really helped me.
For both kids, and I apologize if I mentioned, but I mean, the defense that you guys came out with today, I mean, I think, they had like those 4 turnovers early when you're hitting the threes, they finished with 15. What were you doing defensively in this game that was so effective?
Just making their non-scorers score. Jackson Money and Jakari White are probably their main scorers, so just trying to force somebody else to score and being in gaps early, rebounding, limiting them to 1 shots each possession. I feel like we did that a good job tonight. The stat shows for itself, and the score showed for itself as well. So.
I mean, people use the word statement game, stuff like that gets overused. But I mean, to come out today and just, control a team that even up in Fargo, I think there were 10 league changes today. You guys were in control the whole way. What does this say about this team and this program to get a win like this over a pretty good NDSU team?
Yeah, I think it just shows our toughness. There was a lot of hype around this game, but I think we just went with the mindset that, every game's a big game for us, and we just came out with a lot of energy, and I think that was the spark right away.
Can you talk a little bit about just why you came here and then your recruitment, how that was? You feel like you're overlooked a little bit, but not anymore.
Yeah, the main thing for me was the coaching staff and the freedom in our offense, kind of like we talked about earlier, just how the ball moves. I think it's just really special, and I don't think there's really any other place like this one. So,
Did you under the radar a little bit? You feel like?
I don't really know, to be honest. Yeah.
How many D1 offers did you have?
I had 2 other ones. Yeah.
And then Kendal, just as a freshman, you can see the freedom that he's allowed, but also he's unselfish. Does he remind you of yourself and some of the other good freshmen that have been here?
I feel like that's the point that the coach try to make, just recruit guys that are unselfish and want to win every night and can make open threes or just do whatever the team needs to win. So, I feel like as a freshman, he's fitting right in, he's excelling. He's not doing what most freshmen are doing each night, so it's a true blessing to have him as a teammate on the team.
Is he a better dunker than you as a freshman?
No.
Kendal, one last one from me. You alluded to it earlier, the rebounding, how you guys have progressively got better. Tonight you're +3 against one of the bigger, better rebounding teams in the league. What is it that you guys have just kind of maybe changed or, that has improved that area?
It starts with practice in the film room. There's some film games after film that we just watch and guys aren't boxing out. So I think we took that to heart and made it a true staple of our team that we got to box out to win the games, we got to rebound to win games and get more possessions. And we translated the film to practice and then practice to the game and just went from there. So.
It's just some of those open threes you guys were getting early. What was making that possible?
I think just attacking the closeouts and keep attacking, and then I think every guy on our team knows, even if they're a great shooter, we're always going to make the extra pass. So I think just our unselfishness made that happen.
Any last ones for the guys?
Thanks.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Carlos.
All right. Hey, thank you all for being here. Really thrilled with a victory over, one of the programs that's been the gold standard in the Summit League. Dave does such a great job, and their culture, I think, is built on toughness and, so a lot of respect for them. And I thought our guys today in a game that pretty electric atmosphere. When you show up 90 minutes before the game and there's students lined up outside the arena, I don't remember that before. And I think in some ways, Corey and I were just talking, it's sort of the culmination of what we've been trying to build. And this is certainly not an end point, but it is, I think, one of those markers in terms of games on national TV, sold out crowd against a great opponent, and the way our guys played. When you coach 18 to 22-year-olds, you're always trying to get them to grow and develop in myriad ways, and I think today they didn't play with too much emotion. We talk about play with emotion, but don't be emotional, and I thought they did a phenomenal job of that from the start, of not making the game bigger than it is, play to our core values and principles, and probably more than anything, 19 assists, 5 turnovers. I think that really epitomized that. One of them was at the end of the game when we held the ball, and so they, to me, that was phenomenal. And then the other part was the rebounding after being just crushed on the glass for most of the season. The last 3 games, we've out-rebounded our opponents, and that's not because we're not the biggest team, we don't jump that well, we don't have a lot of formidable guys inside in terms of getting double-digit rebounds, but they've just really bought into collectively rebounding and understanding. We talk about soar with our strengths, and then, collectively do things tough and together, and just very, very proud of how they competed today.
What was kind of the message to the guys coming up? There's a ton of build-up for this game, knowing that it's going to be sold out. There can be a lot of extra energy into that where guys can get a little too high, and you worry about managing that energy with them. But it never seemed where they had that adrenaline dump, and they just kept level the whole game. What did you kind of talk to them about that?
Yeah, I mean, a couple days probably ago, because there was it's awesome issue to have, right? The buzz around the game, and you could tell it felt a little bit different. Students are coming back after J term, so we knew they were going to be back in mass. And more than anything, it's sort of like, okay, 36 hours before, you got to block out distractions, right? Whether it's social media, whether it's your phone, people asking for tickets, people talking about the game. It's like, let's just be who we are. And they're really a mature group, understanding that it's awesome to have a crowd that kind of carries you through maybe those tough moments, but you also, it's just on the court, you don't want to do things. Sometimes in games like this, you might, arousal levels go through the roof. And, in psychology, we talk about that a lot. When that happens, we become myopic, and it's why you see people take bad shots in those games. They commit fouls of aggression. And so it's really about just play the way we always do and focus on your job. And, I thought they were really, really good about that, understanding that. And you want to soak it all in, the pregame, whatever, soak it all in. But I told them I didn't want to, we don't have a lot of guys who do windmill dunks, but don't expend all your energy in warm-ups dunking because the game is the thing. And I thought they were really, they were focused and locked in on that.
Is it a selling point when you go out and recruit that you're going to play this kind of an offense and people are going to get open shots, the ball's going to move?
Yeah, I'm biased, but Coach Maker I think he's one of the best offensive coaches in the country, and we coached against each other when he was at Williams. Our wives graduated from St. Olaf together in 2004. It's an unbelievable story if you kind of do the backstory of how we met, and then we go from D3 to D1, and his wife's coaching at St. Olaf, and all of a sudden we're looking at each other at a coffee shop one day like, maybe we'll coach together. This would be pretty unbelievable. So the job he does, but then it's who we recruit, and then you just heard from Nolan and Kendal. I mean, the guys buy into it. When people always talk about, well, how do you get guys to play like that? You have to be willing to recruit guys who are selfless, and they're skilled, and they're tough, and they're smart. So I think it's a selling point for the right people. If you want to score 25 points a game, I'm very transparent with the recruits. This is probably not going to be the place that's going to happen. We went a decade in Division III where nobody averaged 15 points a game, and it doesn't mean we don't want that to happen, but it just organically is not going to very often when we play 9 or 10 guys, and all of them are capable passers and shooters. That's what I love most is you look today who had the points. Nolan, for a freshman, have 23 points on 11 shots is absurd. Kendal to have 20 points on 11 shots. The two of them, I think, went 17 to 22 combined. And you look at Miles, who is our leading scorer, transfer from D3 to D1, it has done an unbelievable job. But the thing I'm most pleased, he had 9 rebounds today. We had a game at Riverside a month ago where he played 37 minutes and had 0 rebounds. And that was one of the film sessions that they were alluding to where that's probably as gratifying as anything as a coach is he goes 2 for 10 today, and I thought he played unbelievably well. And I think he knows that, and his teammates know it. And so, some of it is, I think, Jim, the unselfishness on offense, but some of it is how that carries over into other aspects of the game.
How much do you spend on, the skill development? Some of these guys have it when they come into the program. But, throughout the course of their career, and then during the season, how much do you work on?
We spend a lot of time on skill, and when we talk about skill development, people I think usually think about individual moves, and you see kids on Instagram with cones, and everybody's great playing one-on-one against a cone, and you got to be able to do things live. Kind of the old days, pick up basketball. So we play a lot. We play a lot of 5-on-5. We also work on passing a lot, and I think that's when we talk about who we recruit, honestly, if you talk to my assistants, that's one of the things where they'll come back and say, yeah, he's a Tommie, because they look and they see that passing gives them joy. Kendal and Nolan embody that. You watch Kendal, I think that's his best skill. He scored a ton of points at Eastridge. He scored a ton of points here. When you watch him, our offense, how it flows when he's out there, Some games he has 20 points, some games he takes 4 shots and he doesn't care. Nolan's the same way. Nolan's playing 4-man for us. I don't know what position Nolan is. I mean, he was a point guard a lot of times in high school and AAU. And so he's just, we talk about don't recruit positions, recruit basketball players. And if you're a basketball player, we'll find a way to use you. And, do we want Nolan to give up 3 or 4 inches and 50 pounds every game? No, but you watch him go out there and he's fearless and he also knows his teammates have his back. And so it's an awesome group to coach.
There's a lot of winning. I mean, obviously Kendal and Nolan really lit it up in the scoring department, but there's a lot of other different winning plays tonight. Obviously Miles rebounding. Ben Osterbaum, I felt he was huge off the bench, both offense, defense, and rebounding with his versatility. And then Doof has that one offensive possession where he gets two boards and then the put back and the place goes nuts. Can you just comment on those type of winning plays that might not get recognized?
Yeah, when you see us play a lot, Timmy, those guys, Rich and Carter are sort of platoon and they do a tremendous job at the center, but, the 2 Bennies and Doof, what they bring to us, the energy. The other night there was a play against Oral Roberts that completely epitomized our program where 5 guys touched the ball in like 3 seconds, and one guy dove to save it out of bounds. Another guy dives and grabs it, flips it to his roommate. He passes it ahead, and it was this 3-second play that was just magical. And a lot of that, though, is if you watch those guys come in, the tough, like Ben Osterbaum today, I thought he was unbelievable spark plug off the bench, and he gets drilled in the nose. He's bleeding. He's like, I think I'm out, and 5 minutes later, he's in the locker room at halftime. He's like, I'm back. And the guys are just going nuts because that's how he plays. So every guy, I think, really embraces their role. Not just the guys we're talking about, 1 through 16, the guys who are on the scout team. It really, you watch our bench, and I think that's just as important, that all of those guys, we talk a lot about the phrase competitive joy, that you can compete and also be happy and having fun doing it. And I think our guys, back to Jim's question, they buy into unselfishness and they buy into competitive joy, and then the rest sort of flows from there.
You had some pretty big basketball people in the house. Chris Finch and Tim Connolly, like that. I know they appreciate good basketball, so you put on a show for them. But what does it mean when you have support like that?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I got to know Chris a little bit and have so much respect for his career. I mean, he played Division III basketball for Glenn Robinson, the winningest all-time D3 coach, and we were a little bit different. He graduated, my freshman year and was a great player at Franklin and Marshall. But I got to know him a little bit this summer and was just, obviously he's a phenomenal coach, but I think he's just brilliant, and he also is so humble. And so very grateful that they would take the time to come over. And I think the state of Minnesota, people who've lived here a long time know there's really, really good basketball players who have come out of here, probably at a higher rate per capita than most states. And you go through the Jalen Suggses and Chet Holmgrens and Tyus and Trey Jones, and the list goes on and on. But having grown up here in Minnesota, it's pretty special for us to be one of 2 Division I programs in the state, and to be doing what we're doing already in year 4 Division I. And you look at the Timberwolves, you look at the high school players around here. It's just it's special to be a part of.
15 turnovers, especially 3 or 4 early when you guys built that lead. What was so effective today? What was working so well for you guys?
Yeah, and some of that might have been a function of the game. I thought our guys did come out with a real bounce in their step on defense. They stepped out of bounds a couple times, but we don't talk necessarily about how we're going to force turnovers. I think you just look at it as a war of attrition, and over 65 or 70 possessions, hopefully we're active with our hands, we communicate on our help, we talk on switches, and we weren't perfect on those, but I thought our guys had great energy. And it's sort of like baseball. If you try to hit a home run, you're not going to hit a home run. You try to force turnovers, you're going to get backdoored and you're going to give up wide open 3. So it's more just about, for 40 minutes, can we be tough together, make them score over hands? And I thought we did, we continue to get better and better. And I think our young guys particularly are learning and growing right in front of our eyes, which is, it's still, winning is great, but seeing kids grow and develop is still the best part of coaching.
Coach, this was probably for a lot of people at home, the first time they saw your program play because you were on national TV. What is the one thing you hope that they got out by seeing your program play?
Well, I'm admittedly biased, but I think we're the coolest story in college basketball. There's 364 teams, and mind you, I started coming to games here when I was 6 years old, and my dad's a 1963 alum. And I remember not the old gym, but the old gym, and now we're getting a brand new gym next year. But to have played here and now coached here for 25 years, I think, there were so many alums in the stadium today, and, It's hard, it's hard, that's a good question. It's hard to put into words other than to say where we've gone, and that's our leadership from President Vischer and our board and Phil Eston to their vision for how this jump from D3 to D1 is gonna work. Nobody knew because no school had done it before in the modern era. And so we didn't know either. I mean, Corey and I joke a lot that we should write a book because this, the stuff that you wouldn't believe 3 years ago that we were all like trying to scramble and how do we make this work? And so today's not an endpoint, but I do think there's a lot of urban Catholic schools around the country, Marquette and Creighton, two of whom we've played, that you look at and they have done incredibly well in basketball because it's a big deal. And I think the community in the Twin Cities and the state, to be one of two programs, I think we have a chance to grow and really become, I'm not making a bold prediction, but really be one of the most unique stories in college basketball. And that's the school and the vision and the mission and the academics. It's the location, but it's also the style of play and what these guys buy into. If you're at that game, those kids are so easy to cheer for. Wednesday, we play Oral Roberts. Wednesday night, Saturday or Thursday, they're at my wife's charter school that she founded 13 years ago, and they're painting the hallways on Thursday. And today they're playing against North Dakota State, and after the game, they're out signing autographs for campers who come here every summer. So part of our vision is how do we, get the entire state sort of aware of, hey, this is a pretty cool team and school and an easy one to cheer for.
Nolan, he has been someone that obviously came in, tremendous talent. You knew you're going to get some good production out of him, but he has just progressively gotten better throughout the year, offensively, defensively. Always up for playing that 4 spot as an undersized, guard, wing. And then really even in here, just his maturity seems to be growing. What can you say about his overall development from when he stepped on campus to now?
Yeah, well, and I heard somebody asked him about was he a little bit under the radar recruiting, and I'd say unequivocally, yes, he was. And there are reasons for that, right? I mean, some it's the transfer portal and everything else that high school kids are not recruited probably at the rate they used to be, and I hope that continues to be the lifeblood of our program. And you look at a kid like Kendal, who came here and committed before we'd ever played a Division I game, and that's actually interesting to look at the two of them. And Kendal, what I'm so proud of for him, he didn't have a Kendal Blue mentoring him. Like Nolan has a Kendal who he can learn from in practice, and Kendal can pull him aside after a tough game and be like, hey, I went through some of this stuff as a freshman. Kendal didn't have that. And so he was sort of thrown into the fire, and you continue to see him grow as a leader. Nolan, I think the poise he plays with, I talked earlier, soar with your strengths. I mean, Nolan doesn't shoot a lot of three-point shots, and most young guys want to shoot threes, and Nolan's kind of a point guard, honestly, at heart. Like, he's not a point guard, but he's, like I said, he's a basketball player, and he never asks us, like, when do I get to shoot more threes, or we don't tell him not to, he just doesn't. And so the poise and composure he plays with as a young player, I mean, today he goes 8 for 8 on twos and 4 for 4 on free throws. And he went 1 for 3 on threes, and he has the green light to shoot threes. He just doesn't very much, and that's one of the things I appreciate most about our guys is I think our role clarity is really good, but they also come to embrace those. So a guy like Doof has taken 4 threes all year. He's 3 for 4. I think a lot of guys are like, Coach, when are you going to unleash me? I'm shooting 75% on threes. 2 years ago, he was 5 for 9 on threes. So he's probably 2 or 3 years. I'm the only guy in the country shooting over 50% on threes, and he just doesn't. And so I think Nolan has a lot of guys who are mentoring him, but there's a reason he led Milwaukee Marquette High School to a state championship last year too, because he makes winning plays. He does what the game requires and what the team needs him to do. So it's incredible to coach both these guys.
We got time for one more. Tied for first place again. I mean, obviously, we have a couple yet before Omaha gets back here on the 15th, but you got to feel pretty good about the position you guys are in right now.
Yeah, I think our guys, I mean, I don't think we look at the standings much, I think, because I think that's, then you're worrying about things you can't control. That's certainly, if you had asked us 3 years ago, like, where do you think you're going to be in 3 years? I don't know that anybody would have really predicted. I mean, I know this preseason there were about 40 votes cast, and not one of them picked St. Thomas to win the conference. And I don't blame people. We don't use that as motivation. I just think this team is really good at saying, let's take it one game at a time. And I understand that sounds like a cliche, but it's really the only way to live life. Like, you can't work on Wednesday when you wake up on Monday. And these guys, they take one game at a time. And I think part of it too is they know we have limited opportunities. So we'd be kind of foolish if we looked ahead to the future next year in a new arena and we're eligible for the tournament, we hope, or look back to, no, just enjoy today. And I thought today there were so many people at the university who put so much into a day like today. And so being in first place is certainly nice, but it's Okay, let's enjoy this victory, and we turn around, we go to South Dakota State, who's, again, you talk about the gold standard in this conference, and they have been that for many, many, many years.
Thanks, Coach.
Good, thank you all, appreciate it.